Okay, so thank you for joining us. Today we're with Becca Wierwille. She is an author of one series of books I know, and then another series is about to come out. I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit about herself. So first of all, if you can tell us a little bit about how you became a writer and your first series of books.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm Becca. I'm an author, a mom. I used to teach kindergarten, and I've always loved stories. So, from the time honestly, before I could even write, I was coming up with stories in my imagination and drawing pictures for them, which luckily I don't do that part of it anymore. And then as soon as I could write, I was creating little booklets of stories, and I had this little purple notebook I would take with me all the time. I used to ride the late bus in elementary school, and while all the other kids were doing homework or playing games, I'd be sitting there writing stories about talking teddy bears and islands made of candy and all sorts of things. But it wasn't until after I got married that I really started taking writing more seriously. My husband has a lot of really fun hobbies that, well, he thinks they're really fun, and I'm not as interested in. So it's like, okay, I need something to really invest my time in when we're not spending time together. And so I always thought it would be fun to be an author, but didn't really see that as a real possibility. Most of the people I'd met had different jobs like being a teacher or a doctor. So those are more practical pathways. And I didn't meet a lot of authors. But after I really started researching the publishing industry, I was able to dive in and learn more. And I've been working on that ever since.
That's awesome. So tell a little bit about Road Trip Rescue was your first book, is that right?
Yes, Road Trip Rescue was the first book in my series.
Okay, and it's for children ages 8 to 12?
Yep. So it's middle grade, children ages 8 to 12. And it is the story of a girl who goes on a road trip to try to find her long lost dog. And this girl was born with one hand like I was. So it was really fun to be able to write that into the story.
That's awesome. And then you have two more in that series, correct?
Yeah, so book two, you can actually see them behind me here if you're watching the video. Book two is called Road Trip Return. It's the story of Kimmy's friend Daniel. So Kimmy's the character in the first book, the story of her friend Daniel and his international adventure to Guatemala to try to save his brother from making what he thinks is a big mistake. And then in book three, we have Jada's story. And Jada is someone who used to be a friend of Kimmy, but they had a bit of a falling out. And Jada ends up finding a stray dog, and with that dog, hope for a chance to make things right. So all three books feature different characters, but their relationships and their journeys really intersect. So they do read best in order.
Okay, cool. So sort of like spin-offs.
Yeah, absolutely. And they all have a lot of the same themes too, because they're all road trip adventures. They all feature some travel. There are themes of forgiveness and friendship and family throughout the series.
Okay, awesome. Um, let's see. You are working on a new series called The Scout and Barnaby Mysteries. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And is it for the same age range?
For just a little bit younger. So I'm saying the Scout and Barnaby mysteries are for about ages 6 to 10.
Okay.
Now, they still could be enjoyed with kids up to 12 or even beyond. So it's not like they're being written down to, but they're shorter, they're more accessible for younger readers. They're designed to be really good family read alouds. They'll have larger text and more white space on the page. They'll have a few illustrations. So really trying to minister to that younger reader who's still gaining confidence in reading longer stories.
Okay, so would they be more like a chapter book or more like
Yes.
a picture book?
More like a chapter book. Yeah. And they
Okay.
only have like five illustrations throughout each book. So it's not like super illustration heavy, but yeah, I'm considering them to be upper chapter books.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so since we're talking about that series, um, do you have a publication date in mind yet, or are you there yet?
Good question. I don't yet have a publication date, but I do have a Kickstarter campaign that's coming through. And I know you want to talk more about that as well. But that campaign, again, I don't have an exact date, probably October. So
Okay.
right now, the finishing touches on these stories are the illustrations and then getting the covers. So once we have the covers, we'll be good to run with the campaign, but we just have to wait for that and able to really, order to jump in. And then again, I can set the publication date, which will be after the campaign. So for those who want to get the stories as soon as possible, the Kickstarter campaign will be the fastest way to do that.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit because I have a lot of people that are maybe writers or aspiring writers who would want to know about your publishing journey and how you use Kickstarter campaigns to fund that publishing journey. Can you sort of walk us through maybe A to Z how that works?
Sure. So, Kickstarter, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is a crowdfunding platform and it's a way to gather funds for your project ahead of time. So, it's not like GoFundMe. People aren't just giving you money, but you're offering something in return. So, for example, for one of my campaigns, I might have levels for ebooks and audiobooks, and then a paperback level, maybe even for the road trip rescue books, had hardback levels as well, but you have different rewards you're offering. And then people go to your campaign, they pledge, and it's all or nothing, which means you have this goal you set. If you reach the goal, then you get the money, the rewards go, you're responsible then for fulfilling the rewards. If it doesn't go through, then no one's card is charged and the project isn't considered funded. So it is a way that you're buying directly from a creator. So it's not like Kickstarter is what's fulfilling the books. You, as the author, are selling the book. So you have to figure out, okay, this is my product. And you do want to have your product relatively ready. Some people will put books up on Kickstarter before they've written it. I wouldn't recommend that because it's nice to be able to know exactly what you're offering. That's
Mhm.
also why I don't do the project until I have the covers. I want to be able to show this is what the product's going to look like. I want to have some sample chapters so readers can really get a sense of what I'm offering. And then you'll present that. You'll have the different options of reward levels you want to offer. You'll decide how many days you want your campaign to run. So they run for a shorter period of time. So I usually, oh, what do I usually run mine for? Like 2.5 weeks, maybe. And so it depends on what you want to do. And there's lots of different guidances on that. There's different courses people offer. There's a really great book on funding through Kickstarter by Russell Nolte. I can't remember the title of it right now, but yeah, all of them recommend different things, but a lot of it is about that buyer psychology because you're trying to show readers, look, I have this limited thing I'm offering. It's extra special right now. You can get the book early. You're getting it from me directly. I'm going to sign the books. Maybe you can even offer to have their names in the acknowledgments. All sorts of things can make this really appealing and extra special. And they have to do it before the campaign is up if they want to be involved. And they also have that psychology of being like, okay, are we going to make this goal? For the road trip rescue campaigns, my goal was $1,000. And that wasn't going to cover all of my expenses, but it was enough to get me started with a print run. And then after we got there, then we would do stretch goals. So those are ways you can add extra things if you get to a certain level. So if we reach $1,500 in the campaign, everyone can get a bookmark too who backed at a physical reward level, meaning that they actually got a book. You don't want to be giving those things to people who only backed at an ebook level because then you're going to be adding to the shipping costs that you wouldn't have otherwise. So all these things are just really fun ways to be able to interact with your audience directly. So I've really enjoyed doing Kickstarter. I think it's a really fun way to connect with your audience.
So, would you recommend then kind of building up your audience first before you went the Kickstarter route if an author was interested in that?
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to bring your audience to Kickstarter. You don't want to depend on Kickstarter to bring people to you. Now, I have gained some readers through Kickstarter, but it is the minority.
Okay.
And it also depends on your genre. So I write middle grade and chapter books. I write books for kids, and that's not one of the most popular books that Kickstarter or genres that Kickstarter is known for. Really, what tends to do well is like fantasy, sci-fi, things that are really different. Those things tend to do really well on Kickstarter. But even so, I definitely recommend having an audience. And then also, depending on your audience, they might not know what Kickstarter is. So being able to educate them leading up to the campaign. Even though I don't have an exact date yet for my Kickstarter campaign, I have a pre launch page up, which means that if you go to Kickstarter and search Scout and Barnaby Mysteries, you can see my page there. You can follow it so you can find out as soon as it launches. And I've already been sharing that with my audience. And I'm already telling them, even though I've done Kickstarter before, I know I have new people. And so I want them to know this is what Kickstarter is. This is what I'm doing it. I don't want to just spring it on them
Hmm.
the day it launches and have it be something totally new and unfamiliar. So I'm encouraging them already. Sign up, get your account, follow along. Let's make this fun together. So
Okay.
definitely having an audience to bring is helpful.
So is it sort of, I mean, I'm trying to equate it for somebody that really has never been on Kickstarter. Would it be a little bit like if you wanted to bid on something on eBay, you kind of need to go through the steps of getting an eBay account
Mm.
first before you join a bid. And
That's a great way to
if you
think about
get
it.
outbid, you're not out any money kind of thing.
Yeah, that you it is a place where you need a separate account. So it's not like going to a store where you can just buy something and you can just, sign in as a guest or check out as a guest or whatever. You do need to
Hmm.
have an account. And then another benefit, so you're using the eBay comparison to sign up so you know when someone bids and so you can stay competitive. There is a competitive edge to it as a buyer because some of these reward levels on Kickstarter are limited in some ways. So you can set your reward levels so that maybe you have an early bird special where you have a lower price for your book for anyone who backs on the first day or in the first 48 hours or whatever. That's limited. And so people are going to want to know when the campaign launches so they don't miss that period. Or sometimes you might have a reward level that only 5 people can back at. It's extra special. And so, again, being able to be notified as soon as it launches is the best way to know you're not going to miss out on any of those fun things.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Let's see. Shifting gears a little bit away from the funding portion of it. For the publishing part of it, I would assume you are really familiar with like self-publishing options, which illustrators you hire, who you print with, that kind of stuff. You've already done all that research
Yes.
and you already have your favorites that you use. What recommendations would you have for authors who they're pretty sure they want to go the self-publishing route, but they're not exactly sure how to start?
Yeah. Wow. So, one of my biggest suggestions, I mean, already, if you're watching this video, you're doing something right because you're seeking to learn more. So, being able to follow along with other authors who are independently publishing and learn from them is a great way to start. I mean, specifically with Kickstarter, being able to follow other campaigns and see how other authors are doing it is great. And even what you're saying, like on the campaigns, a lot of times they'll list their team. So if you find a book that's like yours on Kickstarter, they might list this person edited the book for me. This person was my cover designer. That's actually a really great place to find who someone collaborated with on their book. And then also, obviously, if you're doing Kickstarter, it's just helpful in general. But you can do that for other books too, like just a book on your shelf. If you're like, okay, I want to write this Christian romance novel that is very similar to this particular other novel I have that I know is independently published, look to see who did her cover, look to see who did her editing. I would also say joining writing organizations is really helpful. I'm a member of SCBWI, which is the Society of Children's Books Writers and Illustrators. So if you're a children's author, that's a great place to start. I'm also a member of American Christian Fiction Writers. So if you write Christian fiction, that's another great place to be. There's all sorts of organizations, and all of these places have so many people who are very generous and very willing to help. And you can ask your questions, and you can meet people, and you can join a critique group. And those are all great ways to collaborate with others who are doing it and learn from them. And that's definitely the biggest way that I learned was both through listening to podcasts. I highly recommend the Novel Marketing Podcast by Author Media. That's one of my favorites. And all of the author media resources are really helpful. And then also from spending time with other independent authors and learning from them and what they do.
That's awesome. Thanks for the advice. Let's see. What about your personal writing rhythms? Do you have certain times of day that you write? Do you just write kind of when inspiration strikes? What are your writing routines and rhythms?
My favorite time to write is the morning. So I have a daughter, she's a toddler, which means that my work time is usually in the mornings before she wakes up, and then also, if all goes according to plan, during nap time. But the morning, so first thing in the morning, when I know I'm least likely to be interrupted because my husband's still home and can hang out with her if she gets up early, that's my favorite time to write. I've always felt like I'm most creative. And I also love, in terms of location, if it's nice outside, I love to sit outside on the picnic table and write. Or if it's chilly or dark outside, I'll come down to the basement and I have a big window that looks out so I can pretend I'm outside.
That's awesome. Let's see. How do you test your ideas? Do you have beta readers or because you write for a market, that I would imagine you're not a teacher anymore. Are you around kids a lot? How do you test your ideas?
Great question. So I do have beta readers. I actually have my own new team of beta readers for the Scout and Barnaby Mysteries
Mhm.
called the Story Scouts, and that's a lot of families who have joined together. So a lot of maybe homeschool families, and the mom is reading the book aloud during school time with her kids, and they're all giving feedback. And I've met them, a lot of them are previous readers, or I've met them at homeschool conventions, and that's been really fun to get feedback from them. For the road trip return books, or rescue books, I also had beta readers for those. And then in terms of being around kids, I love doing author visits. That's one of the highlights for me of being a children's author is getting to go to schools and talk to kids about what it's like to be an author and share the story. So I get to be around kids that way too. And also through church serving it with children's ministry.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, what would someone do if they wanted to find you online?
You can find me at beccawierwille.com. Wierwille is Wierwille. I know that's a lot of vowels, so if it's easier, you can also go to belovedchronicles.com. That's my publishing name, and that'll take you to my website. From there, I do have an email newsletter, so especially if you have kids and are interested in these kind of books, you can sign up. I'll send you some freebies, a free family devotional, and that's a great way to stay connected.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Becca. And I'll put all the links in an actual written post as well to go along with this.
Great. Thank you so much, Brooke.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.